Hello and a warm welcome to this new episode of Random Reviews, and today we're going to be talking about the legendary album Led Zeppelin 1 by the one and only Led Zeppelin. Such an iconic album featuring some of Led Zeppelin's most universally recognisable songs. We're talking Good Times, Bad Times, Dazed and Confused, Communication Breakdown, the list goes on. Such a rock solid album. So, without further ado, let's get straight to the review. Led Zeppelin are a band who hardly need introduction because their impact to music and culture is one that is honestly hard to define. In terms of their contribution to music, this band spread heavy rock and roll to the masses and brought out some of the most iconic songs and albums ever to be made, and these reached millions and millions of people the world over with their own unique blend of influences from the masters of American blues music such as Muddy Waters, Skip James and Howlin' Wolf, to British and California folk musicians such as the Scottish folk guitarist Bert Janzig, who was a big inspiration for Jimmy Page's play style, from his opening tuning to the aggressive way in which he strummed his guitar. Not since have a band had such a massive impact on music culture as Led Zeppelin. They travelled around the world, selling out the biggest arenas and winning the hearts and minds of music lovers the world over. I know for me, growing up, Led Zeppelin were my everything. They were my sun and my moon, and this had a lot to do with this album right here. Now, this album kicks off in the most phenomenal way with the absolute classic Good Times, Bad Times that opens up this album with some of the hardest hitting drums and riffs from the album, the perfect opener for this project that I'm going to play a little bit for you right now. Amazing. For me, that's what rock and roll is all about, and I love how well this established the band and their individual mastery over their instruments. Take, for example, John Bond's drumming here. It's simply remarkable, with his rapid bass pedal cadence, the likes of which no one had really seen before, and just the pure power and versatility he had around that kit. But it's not just about how each member shines on the song in their individual way, but it's about how well they all came together, complementing each other effortlessly. Now, some might say this is not the most representative of Led Zeppelin's sound, as it leans more towards a poppier side, but for me it's just such an impressive song and one of my personal favourites. Next up is a serenely sorrowful song, Babe I'm Gonna Leave You, a complete 360 to what precedes it, with this epic ballad approach that sets the tone for the next group of songs to be featured on this album, featuring a super subdued sections that focus on Page's haunting acoustic guitar playing, and of course Plant's beautiful voice as he demonstrates his interpretation of the song originally written by the American folk singer-songwriter Annie Brendan, whose version is fantastic if you have yet to hear it. But this version demonstrates the band's ambitious approach to song composition, beckoning in an age of epic rock and roll ballads that would really go on to define this band. Now, the next song I would love to discuss with you is arguably the most influential song from this project, and that's Dazed and Confused, the 6.5-minute masterpiece of heavy rock and roll and, dare I say, metal, as this song features some of the doomy guitar playing and tones that would go on to influence countless other metal and heavy rock and roll bands, such as Black Sabbath, for example. I love this song for the development of the track. The origins of this song lie, as with most Led Zeppelin songs, in plagiarism, as Jimmy Page nicked this song from the folk rock singer Jake Holmes, whose version is incredible. However, for myself, this does not discredit how much I appreciate and enjoy Led Zeppelin's version, as they changed up the lyrics and built upon it with tons and tons of different layers and style alterations. But I would love to know what you have to say about this. Does the band's history of plagiarism detract from their musical legacy? Let me know in the comment section below. Another fantastic song from this album that I wanted to briefly touch upon comes straight after Dazed and Confused, and that's Your Time Is Gonna Come. That takes us straight back to the more obvious folk rock side of the band, and while this song features a bit more of an upbeat tone, like a really upbeat chorus that comes from the gentle guitar playing and the relaxing down-home lap steel playing, but under all of this, the lyrics are far darker in tone, as the song is all about your time coming and revenge and seeing things come back around. And this kind of indicates some of that classic Led Zeppelin contrast that really helps thicken up the song and make it less poppy and more punchy. Communication Breakdown, ladies and gentlemen, one of the most iconic songs, not only from this album or even from this band, but possibly of all time. Known universally thanks to its entrenchment in popular culture and just the distinctive way in which Jim Page plays his guitar. It just has the right amount of aggression and distortion, and it's complemented wonderfully by John Bonham's equally aggressive drumming on the opening and throughout the song. I mean, the rhythm section of John Paul Jones and John Bonham are so incredibly tight throughout this track, providing the firmest foundation for Jimmy and Robert to do their thing on top of. And it all comes together so well, making such a swift, sublime little song that addresses the difficulty that we all have from time to time in communicating how we really feel to those around us. And this message is so complemented by the frantic nature of the song, making for such a super cohesive and conceptual song. I mean, I love this track, but who doesn't? Okay, so to bring this video to an end, I want to finish up by saying that this album had such an impact on me when I first crossed paths with it. It features so much that I love about Led Zeppelin, from the ambitious songwriting to the epic and often jaw-dropping performances from the band. Led Zeppelin are just one of those groups that had such an influence on my life, and I'm so glad that I had this chance to talk to you about them today. I'll be 100% covering more and more of their discography down the line, so stay tuned to that by subscribing to Mason's Music Library. If you would like to get your own vinyl copy of this album, then I have a link for you in the description box, because it's a must own for any hard rock vinyl collector or hard rock enthusiast at all. And before you ramble on today, I have this week's recommended listening list, just a few tracks that nicely complement this album. Starting out with Death on Two Legs by Queen, one of my all-time favourite Queen songs. Next up is Epitaph by King Crimson, and last but not by no means least, I have The Rain Song by Led Zeppelin. Thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of Rambling Reviews. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, and take it easy.